artist presentation first, and after that I have like just a little bit of inside of archive that I just found it during my research for this exhibition, just a little bit, and then we're gonna go to the Q&A session. So.
Hi. Hi, my name is Aw Sow Yee. I'm one of the participating artists in this exhibition. My work is in the Great Wall space. And today, I'm going to do a bit of sharing, kind of like the backstage of some research that I did for the work that were presented here. So this is kind of like a very loose title. The main keywords are actually I've always been very interested on the questions of measuring or navigating borders, because usually when we think of the word borders, it kind of locates us onto a map, be it borders of nation state or borders of different places, of walls that also act as borders. But for me, in a way that borders are always imaginary or fictional, because it really depends on like borders are actually just like politics or just like historiography. It really depends on which side of the story that locate the borders or who interpret the questions of borders. So I'm very interested in the questions of navigating or measuring borders, particularly in alternative tactics, not on map making, but alternative tactics such as from the nature system or from the popular culture. So that's what the key point or the main area of the sharing is will be about. It will kind of like contextualize with the work that that you will see or you have already seen. So this is a map from the Taiwan Governor's General Office Information Division. I'm from Malaysia, but I've been living in Taiwan for more than 12 years. So most of my time I'm in Taipei. So in a way, the work was made in 2018. It was a time when I started to question of Malaysian in Taiwan. What my position will be. So I have the opportunity to make a work for the Taipei Biennale that year that focused on the topic nature. So I propose these works. So because during that time, the Taiwan government has a policy called the southbound policy, meaning that they are trying to be a part of Southeast Asia and to invest more in the economics of Southeast Asia. But Taiwan was also being colonized by Japan. Taiwan's relation with Japan government is very different from many Southeast Asian countries, because Southeast Asian country like where I'm from, Malaysia, or nearby Malaysia, Singapore, we call the Japanese ruling a Japanese occupation rather than a Japanese governance. But for Taiwan, it's a Japanese colonization and a Japanese, sometimes they call it Japanese governance. So Taiwan was colonized by Japan from 1895, the end of 19th century, up until the end of World War II, which is 1945. And the location of Taiwan is actually very near Philippines. So at one time, the Japanese government, they are actually seeing Taiwan as the entrance to Southeast Asia. It's like the very north of the south. So this is the map. That is the map of the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere map. And you can see here there are different colors of the red. So different colors of the red indicate how deep the power of the Japanese government is. So the rarer it is, meaning that they are directly governing. But you can see most Southeast Asian countries, they are just like a red line, but they are not red inside. So, so it kind of make the indicates on how how the Japanese government sees this region during that time. This map was published in 1943, which is a very kind of like a very hot stage for World War II, and it was obviously during the Showa period, which is the Showa 18. And so from this map, you can also see how their ideal situation might be. So the whole Asia will be only governed by Asia. It's an ideology map by the Japanese government. And because of this situation, or because of their very deep interest to go into the South, especially Southeast Asia. And so they started, they're using Taiwan kind of like a laboratory to enter the South, to enter Southeast Asia. And one of their tactics is this one, where you see in the entrance of this exhibition, some materials are in the entrance of this exhibition, that it is a kind of like an expo in Taiwan. This expo is in 1935. So the title of this expo is the Taiwan Expo, which is commemorating the 40 years of governance of Japanese in Taiwan. So it's a celebration of the 40 years governance. And it's 1935, which is not shortly after, then there are these invasions, or started off some obvious move of the World War II. So in the early 20th century, the Japanese Empire, they tried to build Taiwan into a laboratory or a paradise at the northernmost tip of the South in Taiwan. So what do they do? So in this Taiwan Expo, you can see at the bottom left here that there are different areas, and in one areas there have a Southern Pavilion, which is a pavilion of Southeast Asia. They also have a Siam Pavilion, but next to the Southern Pavilion is actually a I'm not sure of the very accurate translation for the pavilion. It's kind of like a horse breeding or horse product pavilion. So everything that has to do with horse. So at the side of the horse, if we call it horse pavilion, at the side of the horse pavilion, there's a horse field where you can see like people riding on horses. And so in this sharing, I'm just going to share like 3 alternative tactics of the Japanese government during their colonization in Taiwan as a tactic to further or to push forward the borders of their territory to Southeast Asia. So you can see here, this is a very important expo during that time, especially in Taiwan and in Japan. They spent a lot of money in this expo. And you can see also here, they even have a theme song for the expo. So the title for this theme song is called Taiwan Leaping. I couldn't find the audio files of it, but it was kept in the archive in Taiwan. But I can't find it online for you to get a sense of how it sounds. But on the lyrics wise, there are some of the lyrics they are saying repeatedly that we are going to step to the south, meaning that this song is kind of like a song commemorating the beginning of stepping into the south, meaning the Southeast Asia. So you can see from the theme song here, and this is another map from the Southern Pavilion, or from the House Pavilion, and this is one of the snapshots in the Southern Pavilion. And the archive for this expo was actually kept very extensively and very good, because they even have a publication on the very details of this expo, including all the spendings that were involved when they are making this expo. So from this Taiwan Expo, we can see in the Southern Pavilion there are already two alternative tactics that the Japanese use to pushing their borders forward to Southeast Asia. One is the horse. So this is the on the left is the is the building for the horse pavilion, and on the right here is just next to the horse pavilion. There's a kind of like a horse field that you can pay to ride on a horse. But there's one thing to mention, that horse is actually not a tropical animal. So Taiwan weather for the horse is actually not a perfect weather for horse breeding. But why is horse important is because in the idea of the Japanese government, they see horses as a living weapon. Because if you are in a war, then you need to have horses, especially in Southeast Asia country. There are a lot of forests or places that are not accessible by modern transportation. So what they do was they use Taiwan as kind of like a laboratory of horse breeding in a tropical country. So they are breeding a very specific, they are breeding horses specifically for war. Horses that are trained to go to the war in Taiwan, for them to get accustomed to tropical weather, so that when they are shipped to Southeast Asia, the horses can get accustomed quickly to the weather in Southeast Asia. So you can see the idea of how they use a country or an island to become a huge laboratory, ideologically and also in a physical sense. And this is also one of the scenes in the horse pavilion. And these are some pictures on other archival materials on how the Governor General's office in Taiwan, that they are using, that they are breeding horse kind of as a lab tactics in Taiwan before the World War II. And I want to specifically mention on the further right, side, is actually a writings of a primary school students, that they are asking the students to write these 4 words as kind of like a calligraphy practices. But these 4 words literally means Liang Ma. From the right is Liang Ma, meaning good horses, or horse with from a good breeding. And 爱养 就是they love to breed good horses. Jianzhen meaning war, wushi is samurai. So in short, it might means like the love to breed excellent or good horses, and these horses are samurai of the war. So they are asking primary school students to write these words, kind of like to embed this ideology to the people, to their colony in Taiwan, especially started from school children. And horses were also not only used as an alternative tactics in 1940s, during the 1940s, the World War II in Taiwan and also in Southeast Asia, but then it continues into 1960s, where during the Cold War, the Japanese are also making TV series of a bandit called Tanyapalit, and so in this TV series, the protagonist is also riding on horses, and in this TV series, the context of the TV series is this guy. He's called the Tiger of Malaya, and he has what he did was he traveled around Southeast Asia in this TV series. Historically, he has different identity. Some said he was the Japanese portrayed him as a Southeast Asian version of Robin Hood. So the Japanese portrayed him as a figure to fight against the British and the Netherlands, the Dutch colony, and helping the locals, helping the Asian. Because the whole idea of the Great Eastern prosperity sphere is to build an Asian for Asian. That's their ultimate ideology. So and this ideology was embedded in different ways. And although this TV series is from the 1960s, it's not from the 1940s when the Second World War or where the Great Eastern prosperity sphere was going on. But what I'm trying to say is the ideology of using some elements from the nature as a kind of tactics to pushing the boundaries of going to the south, not necessarily in the hot war, but can be in the Cold War as well. So this is another idea of the continuation of that, because in this TV series, this Tanyapalit is the guy on the picture here. He was always on sunglasses, wearing suits in cowboy, wearing like a cowboy, and he's always on a horse. And maybe we can see a little bit of the theme song of the 1960s TV series here. Right side is kind of some of the excerpts of the lyrics. It's actually a very popular rhythm always used by the Japanese, especially in their marching music. And in the lyrics, this is not the whole of the lyrics, but in the lyrics they use symbols to indicate Southeast Asia, or indicates the South. For example, like the Southern Cross, and also coconut trees is also one of the most popular symbols. Coconut tree doesn't exist in this song. But coconut tree exists in another song of this 1960s TV series. We're not going to. I think we're not going to see the music, the video of the song. But in the lyrics also you can see there are things that indicating like something cross is a very popular element, and also tropical trees and coconut trees is also very popular. And in another song, there is also the symbols of coconut tree in this song. This is called a song of the Taiwan Army. This is a song that were it's popular in 1943 in Taiwan. Because during that time, because Taiwan is a colony of Japan, so the Japanese government recruit Taiwanese people, young people, to the army and to join the army marching to Southeast Asia. So there was a time when my grandparents recall that in the Japanese army during the Japanese occupation, some of them are Taiwanese people. So, and these people, they are mostly indigenous people, because indigenous people can stand the heat and they can fight in the forest, which is a very obvious reason for them to join, for the Japanese wanting them to join the army. And to recruit the soldier, they have a team song for this recruitment process, which is this one, Song of the Taiwan Army. of the lyrics are that we are marching on the Pacific Ocean, and then we are heading to the south. We are passing through the Black Ocean, and we are going to the islands or places with coconut trees. So coconut trees kind of like works like a symbol or ideological symbols of Southeast Asia or of the southern part of Taiwan during the Japanese colonization. So these two pictures are also part of the showing the work. It's actually pictures showing things in the Southern Pavilion of the Taiwan Expo that we have seen the map in the beginning. So in the Southern Pavilion, there are also diorama with coconut trees in Southeast Asia to indicate that Southeast Asia is a place full with coconut trees, no matter where is it. It can be in the Philippines, it can be in Thailand, it can be in Malaysia and Singapore. And this is the publication, a book that I found in the Singapore National Archive. This is a book published actually in 1917, much more earlier than the Second World War, but is in the very early stage of the Japanese government idea to expand their power to the south. So in this publication is actually a book. It's actually kind of like a picture book showing the activities of Japanese people in the Malay world, particularly in Peninsular Malaysia and also in Singapore during the 1910. And in this book, they already started to portray that the land in the south are always full with coconut trees. So coconut trees is a symbol of the Malay world and a symbol of Southeast Asia. And here is another example. This is actually a publication during the Second World War. It's kind of like a magazine that they are saying that you can see pictures of coconut trees. The title kind of roughly translates the scenery in the Malay world. So you can see how coconut trees were portrayed in different things, objects related to the Japanese. This is in 1942. This is actually a lottery ticket in 1942 in Shonan Island. Shonan is the name of the Singapore that the Japanese given when they are occupying Singapore. Shonan literally means the light of the south. So from 1942 to 1945, Singapore was named Shonan. And so they changed the name of the island into Shonan, and they changed and they even have a newspaper agency called the Shonan Shimbun, which is the Shonan paper in Singapore during that time. And this is a lottery ticket distributed by the Shonan Shogun, which is like a bank agency. But on the lottery ticket, you can see also a beautiful beach and a coconut tree. And this is a picture of Taiwan during the Japanese colonization. I think this one is around 1930s. And actually, in this picture is in the southern part of Taiwan. But at the description of the picture, actually, it specifically say in this picture is a city called Kaohsiung in the southern part of Taiwan. So the description literally said, this is coconut tree in Taiwan, Kaohsiung. And it specifically say that during the Japanese colonization era, in order to portray or to make believe that Taiwan is part of the South, that the Japanese started to plant a lot of coconut trees in Taiwan. So meaning that coconut trees is not actually a plant originated in Taiwan that was brought by the Japanese to Taiwan to fabricate the island into part of the south. So that description was actually added by a researcher in the National Archive of Taiwan. And here is also another example. This one is in Taipei. It's in a park in Taipei built by the Japanese during the 1930s. They specifically plant a lot of coconut trees in the park. And if you have a chance to go to Taiwan, to go to Taipei and visit one of the largest university in Taipei called the Taiwan University. It was originally called during the Japanese colonization era the Empire University. When you go to the university campus, you can see a lot of coconut trees along the road. So it's kind of like a symbolic way to make this island into a laboratory of portraying the South, not only physically but also ideologically. And it also happens. In broadcast system as well, because in this particular park in Taipei, in this park there's actually the Japanese colonizers set up one of the earliest radio station in Taipei called the it has a shorter name called the JFAK. And this particular radio station, they're making programs in different Southeast Asian language. So I think they have like Thai language and Vietnamese language, Malay language, and even Cantonese, Mandarin, English. And so all these programs were broadcast into different places. So this part where all the coconut tree is also where the radio station were located. The radio station that kind of reflecting all the radio station that is broadcasting all these different programs in different language to different parts of Southeast Asia. So this is one of this is the title song of the radio station. And you can see from the lyrics of it's kind of like radio station jingle, but I can't find the original song. Only the lyrics can be found. So I asked a friend who knows Japanese language to kind of read out the Japanese language, and this on the right side is the English translation for the jingle. So you can kind of see also from the lyrics that how they see, how the Japanese government see Taiwan as a place to lights up the southern sky.
黎明来る南の空、マイクロフォンは暁を継ぐ文化の先駆、放送無線、アンテナ高くそびえるところ、ウェーブくまなく広がり響く JFAK、麗しの島、いや麗しに、詩をも歌をも奏でるラジオ、金線に触れては脈相打ちで、一つに溶きゆく心と心、404万、作家へあらしめよ、JFAK。
And also to put on a note on this picture, not only the radio station, the building of the radio station were located in the park, they also set up radio in the park. Because during the 1940s, radio is still not it's not a commonly accessible media for ordinary people. So what they did was they set up radios in the park that if you are a common people like us, and you can go to the park and listen to the programs as well. So this is a map that I found in an archive that I felt very interesting. This is a map, actually, a broadcasting map by the JFAK. So you can kind of see. So this is Taiwan. So the JFAK radio station, and this is their ideological map of the radio station, where they want their ideologies to spread, or they want their borders of the South to push more forward. So you can see the radio was broadcast to different parts of Southeast Asia, to Philippines, to Thailand, to Vietnam, to Malaysia, and to Indonesia. So this map actually show a very obvious intentions of the Japanese to also use the broadcast, which is the broadcast of, because broadcast program in ordinary people life is kind of like it's kind of like part of the popular culture, that you listen to songs and you listen to things that is not necessarily related to the war. It can be a cooking program. It can be an interview with someone else, not directly related to the war, but through the design of the context of the program and the language used, the ultimate idea was to make people believe that the Japanese government is really intended to build an Asia for Asia. That we can communicate with your language, not communicate with the colonial language. So they're very intentional, actually. You can also see from the lyrics of the jingle and from this ideological map of their radio station. So you can compare it with the map of the Greater East Prosperity Field. It's actually a very coherent, both are very coherent. One is the map of the broadcast signal of the radio station, JFAK, and the other one is kind of like a border expansion map for the Japanese government. And they not only use broadcasts in Taiwan, where during the 1940s they also invited different people from Southeast Asian country to record programs in Taiwan. But also during the Second World War, they started a radio station also in Shonan, meaning in Singapore, which is now the Cathay Building. During the Japanese occupation in Singapore, the Japanese army take over this Cathay Building, because inside the Cathay Building in the late 1930s to early 1940s, the British government actually set up a broadcast department in this building during that time. So when the Japanese invaded Singapore and the British surrendered, the Japanese army take over Cathay Building and they take over the broadcast department and make the broadcast department into a Shonan radio program center. So making radio programs during the 1940s, during the height of World War II, and to broadcast these different programs also into Southeast Asia. So it's an expansion in a way of JFAK, where JFAK is broadcast to the south, but they also have Shonan in the 1940s that can also broadcast to the north, meaning broadcast to the Malay Peninsula, broadcast to Thailand, to Vietnam, and to Philippines. So the the sphere of this broadcast signal is very strong and is very strong during the 1940s, not only from Taiwan but also from Shonan, from Singapore. So you can say that it's you can say that be it to breed horses in Taiwan, or to plant coconut trees in Taiwan, or to start a radio station in Taiwan, all this are, for me, I think all this are the Japanese government or the Japanese army tactics. It's kind of like war tactics, but not in the form of a war. But what makes it so powerful is that they do not look like war at all. That they are embedded in your everyday life. They are embedded in radio programs that you hear every day, and they are embedded in the scenery that you see on the street, and it was embedded in education and in different medias as well. So so yeah, this is kind of like a very short sharing of kind of like the back of the context of the work that was shown here. That is part of the research during when I was making the work as well. So it's kind of like also kind of like an ongoing research on things, especially to see this seemingly harmless nature and popular culture, and how this harmless thing will transform into highly political or acts without us as normal, ordinary people noticing what they're doing. But the time when we notice that is already embedded in our memories, or embedded in our bodies. So yeah, I think this is part of the research that are related to the work of their alternative tactics, especially by the Japanese government. But the Japanese is not the only one who is doing this. I think the Americans is very good at doing this as well. So yeah, so we'll see in the future.
Yes, thank you so much for the presentation, and it's really insightful and informative, and it's really important for us to think about how Imperial Japan was expanding their power to Southeast Asia, not to only war making, but also to the ecology making as well, change imported plant, grow plant, and change landscape according to their how they imagine it, how tropical looks like. For example, the coconut tree, and it's actually continued to the Cold period. If anyone knows about the film called Apocalypse Now, it's the Cold War movie, and the opening scene of the movie is like a top view of the coconut field, the forest, and this became like the iconic icon of Southeast Asia, or like the tropical area. And then, as Sai said about the tactic of the non-hot war, it's actually America is also doing during the Cold War period as well, because we still in Thailand we still have the Voice of America radio in Thailand, located in Udon Thani, the province in the northeast of Thailand. And when I drive with my friends there, sometimes we still heard the radio still active. So I would like to share a little bit of information that I found during making a research for this exhibition. So basically what we talk about when we talk about Japanese occupation in Thailand, we usually talk about what was happening in Kanchanaburi about the railway construction, and we talk about like the novel, the corporate novel, and also the landing points of Imperial Japan in the south of Thailand, and also in Chonburi. But then this is what I found is the secret document from the Thai National Archive about the Japanese officer working in Taiwan wanted to meet like a head of Fisher department in Thailand during the 1940s, and his aim is to research about the native fish and what was the department was doing. His name is Soko Tetsumoto, and then he visited Siam at that time during 1940s, and then he proposed to introduce like fish called milkfish to Thailand, but then he came together with a head of company called Hayashikane Senkyo, the fishing industrial company in Japan, and then the company located in several countries in Southeast Asia at the time as well, including Thailand. And then later on, during the war, the company also start producing like all of animal food, like meat or like canned food, everything. And then they wanted to introduce this fish to Thailand, and it's not native to Southeast Asia, but then it's native to Hawaii, and then already introduced in Java in Indonesia already. But then at the end, the Thai government rejected because like it was considered as the project under the military agenda, and this is like the reflect on the reflect from the department is Siam rejected because they found that this company already located in Siam, and they already started produce like cheese and processed meat, and then exported to Japanese army in Malaya at that time. So this is what I found, and I think there's a lot of the company like this from Japan located in Thailand during that time, not only for producing meat and also to produce the pineapple can as well. Yeah. And another thing is that if you look at the wall inside the research wall, I found that actually there was the Siam Pavilion in the Taiwan Exposition, but then I found the document that actually Imperial Japanese invited Siam to do the pavilion in the exposition, but then Siam already rejected. But then I still couldn't find how they have like a Siam pavilion in that exposition, and I found the drawing of the facade of Siam Pavilion, but then is the archive of the National Diet in Japan, and then as was Japanese architect who drew that plan is not from Thai. So there's a lot of visitors guess that maybe Taiwan made it themselves, not like from Thai, because at the time there were a lot of the correspondent mails between Siam and also Japanese government in Taiwan about the attempt of like showing the product of Siam in the exposition. Yeah, and this is just like this. I want to share what I found, and this is the paper, the full paper as in Thai. So, anyone have any questions? So, if not, you talk about the southbound policy. Actually, I think it's very interesting because it's still continue until today, but they're more focused on labor, I guess. I mean Taiwan, the southbound policy. Have you heard about this during your stay in Taiwan?
What do you mean by you mean like Thai people working in?
No, I mean the southbound policy of in Taiwan. Yeah.
The southbound policy in Taiwan, I think, is part of the policy of their previous president. I'm not sure this new president will continue. It seems like he's continuing the policy, but he's not emphasizing the policy. I think the much interest now is how to be friends with the Americans. So I think that's my observation of the current government. Is not much to make friends with Southeast Asia, but to be more close. They're already very close to the American government, but to be even more closer to the American government in order to have a counter power against the China government. So it's a bit complicated. But the southbound policy, the name itself is a bit problematic because it coincides with the Japanese South. It's different word in kanji. During the Japanese colonization period, they used the name. If it's Chinese, it's called Nanjing, meaning that Jing is like to enter the south. But the Taiwan government, the previous president, the proposition is a policy that is the Nanxiang. Xiang is two words, so it's towards the south. Southbound policy, but it is embedded is originated from the Japanese term. So when they first announce it, it creates a little bit problematic situation on how the intention of the government will be, because it's not the first time that the Taiwan wants to be part of the Southeast Asia community or being a part of Southeast Asia. It actually has a very long history in different times. For example, during the Cold War, there's a film festival called Asian Film Festival, which was supported by the American news agency, which is the CIA. And that festival was originally called Southeast Asia Film Festival. And it is taking different nation as member state. So you participate in the film festival as a member, as a country, not as, like nowadays film festival are like individual participation. But that particular festival is country, it sees country as a member. So in that festival, you can see participated countries in that festival is all American airlines. For example, when it started, it was originally called the Southeast Asia Film Festival, but the original member state include Hong Kong, which is a British colony, friends of America. I think Thailand as well. Indonesia kind of bouncing in between, and Malaya, which is a British colony, and Taiwan. At that time, there was Free China, and also Japan. Is under the title Southeast Asia Film Festival, which is a bit weird. But then a few years later, they changed the title to Asia Film Festival. That was to welcome, at the year when the Korean War ended, and to welcome Korea as a new member. So, yeah, this is also another examples of how, how the idea of Southeast Asia or the Southern region were put in play in different times, but in different different tactics or even as part of the popular culture as well.
You mentioned about CIA. Is that the USIS unit, the United States Information Service, who supported the film festival, or like CIA, the big agents?
Well, they are listed as the American spy agency, but during the Cold War, I think there are a lot of archival materials that were being declassified right now, that their involvement in Southeast Asia or to control Southeast Asia, especially during the Cold War period, I think it still resonates till now. They are using not taking real weapons, but they are supporting film production, supporting film festival, and they are supporting literature movement, and also to bring American artists into Southeast Asia. For example, Robert Rauschenberg during the Cold War, I think he visited Malaya and have a huge show there. And there are also documents saying that the abstract expressionist is funded or secretly pushed forward by the America to influence the whole world. So there are different documents or different archives that are declassified right now that show also the American alternative tactics in their expansion of power in Southeast Asia and the Asian region, but not using real weapon, but using all this popular culture.
Talking about the exhibition that organized by the US, like look back to the World War II, there's a lot of the exhibition in Singapore organized by Japanese government, especially like the watercolor painting about nature. So I wonder how about in Taiwan? Is there any program exhibition?
I think there are programs, there are exhibitions in Taiwan, and so also there are, during the Japanese colonizing era, they are also sponsoring literature, the literature movement as well. And also in paintings that they are sending, there are Taiwanese artists or Taiwanese writers that were studying in Japan, and then when they return to Taiwan, they start to paint. So it's like a kind of like, you can say that the Japanese government in Taiwan, they also push forward the development of literature and also the development of art or art history in Taiwan as well during when they are colonizing Taiwan. But this also creates a problem after the war when the Japanese colonization stops in Taiwan, because before the war, the national language of Taiwan, invaded by the Japanese government, is Japanese. And so all these writers, they were actually writing in Japanese. But then after the war, the Kuomintang KMT from China retreated to Taiwan, and there they started to implement another system, which is the Mandarin system. So it creates a chaos during the transitions of power especially on the people in Taiwan. Their ideology, not much about. They are more leaning to Japanese. So you can see how in Taiwan, Taiwan people has a very different feelings about the Japanese compared to people in Southeast Asia, especially for older generation who have been through the Japanese occupation period. So in Taiwan, they are more leaning to the Japanese government, because the Japanese government bring a lot of development to the country. Same like the development that the British government brings to Malaya. For example, train system, railroad system, electricity, all this like basic infrastructure in Taiwan were built by the Japanese. So they have a kind of a loving feeling towards the Japanese government. So very different from people in Southeast Asia, because they endure a kind of very cruel Japanese occupation rather than a very loving Japanese. But it's not saying that Japanese are very loving to the Taiwan people. They do have constant fights, especially with indigenous people who fight against colonial power, but all of them were being covered. So they are being defeated by the Japanese government. So what they try to promote is how much development that I have brought to the country, rather than how many things that I destroyed or covered up in the country. So it's a very complicated and very different situation on different affection towards the Japanese in Taiwan.
Yeah, I think the model is pretty the same as during the Cold War. I mean, every war, when you do the hot war, you have to make some kind of like the development, and then to spread your ideology, and then to make people support you. Yeah. So I think maybe anyone have more questions?
Thank you for the information today. It's very new and very interesting for me. But one thing that you mentioned about the TV series, you said it made in 1960s. Does it mean that even after World War II, our Japanese government still have a lot of influence above Taiwan, right? Taiwan? Yeah. I mean, because you said TV series was made in 1960. It's 20 years or something after the World War II. So basically, at that time, I think Taiwan is not under Japanese colonization anymore, but they still have a lot of influence, right? Thank you.
They still have a lot of influence in Taiwan. I can share a very ordinary examples that I have a Malaysian friend who used to study in Japan. When she visited Taiwan for the first time, she said Taipei for the first time, she mentioned, oh, it looks so much like Japan. I mean, the road system is like a block, like a chess block on a chessboard. Very, very Japanese kind of urban design in Taiwan, especially in Taipei. But in Southeast Asia, it's more creative. It's not chessboard. It's like I don't know how to describe it. It's very creative kind of way. So from this ordinary, very real life, mundane kind of example, you can see their influence. But in that 1960 TV series, because in the context of the TV series is of the protagonists travel to different parts of Southeast Asia, and there is also a evidence saying that actually some Taiwanese filmmakers, they are imitating the series and make it into another film, in a Taiwanese language film that doesn't that the print already, I think, already were destroyed, but the National Film Center managed to find the posters and also newspaper clips on the newspaper during the 1960s. So, yeah, Japanese has a lot of influence on Taiwan, especially also from until this day. Still, they are still looking at the bonding between the American, Japanese, and South Korea to form kind of like a war for them to fight ideologically against China. But there's more complicated questions in 2025 since the trade war. So yeah, so I think it's very interesting to see how the shifting of power alliance, on how who forms an alliance in certain times, and the allies still exist until today, but it might take another turn because of different things that happen nowadays. But it's true that the Taiwan government is still very close to the Japanese government, and there are even. But this is our extreme examples that there are some younger people looking at that there are some younger people thinking that maybe governed by the Japanese government are way better than the Chinese government now, because now I'm not sure if you're familiar with the history of Taiwan. So after World War II, they have 4 years of empty. There are no direct governance from any parts of the world. But in 1949, because of the civil war in China, the civil war between the Communist Party and the Kuomintang, and so the Kuomintang were beaten, so they retreated to Taiwan and they governed Taiwan for many years. So although they have like a change of government in recent years, but the Kuomintang is still very powerful in Taiwan. So there are some younger people who are more affectionate to Japan compared to Kuomintang, the Chineseness kind of lifestyle. So yeah, that's a bit complex.
What age that they are at? I mean, the younger generation that you mentioned.
Younger generation, I think maybe he's not really that young, maybe 30s to early 40s. Mm-hmm. But then younger generation, I think also because of the transformation of social media, they are actually looking at Chinese social media from the People's Republic of China. Like there's an app called Little Red Book or something. Xiaohongshu, yes. And and TikTok. So, but that's younger, like 20s or in high school. So, yeah, the society is a bit. There are like fractures in between society as well.
Yeah. So thank you for sharing information with us, and we will be art artists will be here a little bit more. And if you want to see the exhibition with us or ask anything about the exhibition, please feel free to. Yeah. And thank you so much for coming today.